Hey friends, thanks so much for tuning in. I have got a very important update for you. You're not going to want to miss a word of this. I have back on the line my friend Pizzagate Angela and Susie Q from Twitter. You guys know her well. She's the one that helped get that video out about what is alleged to be John Podesta himself abusing a small child. Very, very disturbing video. Let me welcome my guests. Angela, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming back on short notice. We got to cover some issues you're having with Twitter. And Susie, how are you?
Hey Sean, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us. I know you on Twitter as Susie Q. I think you recently changed your Twitter name. How do people follow you now on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter at Suzichka, so it's Suziechka.
Got it. Okay, the reason for this call, guys, is I have a piece of information I want to share, but we're going to talk about Pizzagate. We have to, because there's so many weird things going on right now. This conversation is happening on Sunday. On Saturday, David Seaman deleted all of his YouTube videos from his YouTube channel. The day before, he deleted his Twitter account. I think it's cause for concern, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But on top of that, Pizzagate, Angela, you've been having problems with Twitter. They blocked you from your account. Is that true?
Yes, yeah.
Well, what's going on?
I don't understand it. It's really weird, okay? Like, last night, all of a sudden, I was just blocked out. But unlike what I've seen them do to other people, they don't give me, like, a time, limit, like, 12 hours you're locked out. It's almost as though they've suspended me on my end, but haven't suspended my account. It's probably because some of the things I posted yesterday.
Yeah, and you're talking about your postings on Saturday. I tweeted out the fact that you've been blocked out of your account because you emailed me. It's so hard for even those of us with a voice out there to really help in these matters, because look what's going on with Mike Adams at Natural News. Google wants to be the arbiter of what is real news and what is fake news, and I guess they're just judging that anything counter to official mainstream talking points is fake news, and in the case of Mike Adams and naturalnews.com, they just banned the entire website. It's gone. You can't get anything from Mike Adams now via Google. You have to go directly to naturalnews.com, which I would advise everyone to do. So, yeah, Angela, what's so frustrating about this is that you're over the target, right? You're dropping truth bombs on the enemy, be it Podesta, be it the Podesta brothers, be it the Clinton Foundation, be it a variety of different enemies of humanity, all of whom need to be brought to justice. So they don't want people over the target dropping truth bombs. They don't want the DC pedo ring to have light shined on it. Susie, your thoughts on anything we just discussed? And how did you come about finding that video of what is purported to be, allegedly, John Podesta abusing a child?
Right. Well, first, I just want to say, Angela, I think you do know that the NCMEC is actually connected to Silsby with the alert sense, the Amber Alerts, and even some private funding like Soros, things like that, that we can get into later. Also, with Twitter and Jack Dorsey and the censorship, I actually got, around 75 texts, all in the time span of like a minute. My phone was just going off and off and off. Someone was trying to reset my password, and I kept getting codes to reset it and change it. And it was freaking out. I was kind of, not gonna lie, I was kind of scared, but I don't think nothing happened. My account's fine. As you can see, it's still up. I'm surprised I haven't been banned because unlike Angela, I actually tag people. As you can see, I tag John Podesta. I tag him all the time. I tag him and I call him names. I call him Skippy. My name is Skippy Molesta. I'm kind of a little bit of a troll, not gonna lie. But I feel like I've been successful at it. People are waking up. People who, I get messages all the time and tweets. People are saying, I was so against this whole, I thought it was just a conspiracy theory because pundits like Stephen Colbert, are laughing and, trying to get people to not take any of it seriously. And they're saying everything's changed now after that video. I definitely think it's John. And I'm like, yeah, but it's John. And that's just my belief. I understand that not everyone thinks that, but that's my belief, and it's just so clear to me. It's so clear.
You think you're hot shit, don't you? You will call me. You will call me. You will call me. Say
Just get lost. Just get lost.
Yeah, the audio analysis is very effective. It does sound like him. It's uncanny. I would definitely say that. It has not been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is him. So this is all alleged, but it needs to be talked about because where there's smoke, there's fire. And we have in the WikiLeaks Podesta emails him saying, still in the torture chamber. So,
Right.
And that certainly looks like a torture chamber, be it psychological and or physical, and it is very clearly a small child in what looks to be like one of those showers with the glass, the sliding doors, because I've seen the inverted video of it, and it is very clearly a small child. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. I watched it too, and I just want to say something about that video. People are saying that that what he was holding, or there was a mic boom, and that he was set up. Look, it's not a mic boom.
It's a broom.
It's some sort of like Swiffer jet kind of mop. It's like a modern mop.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it in the better depth, it's got like a rigid kind of rod, and it's got the like little ring around the base, and it has the like Swiffer jets. It looks like that. I pulled up a picture of one on like Google Images, just like a normal modern day kind of like Swiffer jet, and compared it, and it fit perfectly. So it's some sort of like mop.
Yeah.
And
regardless, it's clearly video of somebody absolutely psychologically torturing a child, which is at the heart of what Pizzagate is. And that's why they don't want Angela dropping truth bombs. That's why they don't want you out there doing what you're doing, Susie. But I just want to circle back for those that are new to this information and say, as it pertains to Angela being locked out of her account, what's the connection here? I sent out a tweet last night, guys, saying, why would AlertSense hire Laura Silsby Gaylor, a known child trafficker, a convicted child trafficker? Talk about a shitty HR department. I mean, are you kidding me?
That's like a fire department hiring someone who went to prison for committing arson and putting him as the head of the
There's a lot of weird connections. Can I name a few? Because this is one of the reasons I've been locked out.
Yeah, please do.
But,
that's what you're here for.
But this is good. This helps me vent. But the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, as Susie was pointing out earlier, she's correct. It is directly connected with the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and it's also connected with Amber Alert. In fact, I've been blocked from Alert since I was blocked by them a while back. And once again, I'd never tagged them in anything. And this was like after my first post about them. It was months ago. I've only been on Twitter for like 4 months or so. But anyway, but let me point something out. There's a lot of sketchy connections between all three of them. And they all are headquartered out of Alexandria, Virginia. When I did a map search, whatever time of day it was only an 18-minute drive to D.C. So it's right there. It's one of the pockets where the most kids go missing. It's ironically where the headquarters of the three largest supposedly pro-children organizations are headquartered, just happens to be one of the hottest pockets for missing children. And it's such a close proximity to Washington, D.C. There's also, do you remember the James Elefantis Instagram, where it was an actual picture of penetration and there was a picture, and people were so disgusted that
which one?
The one in the museum?
Ping Pong would post that. That actually turned out to be Jeff Koons' supposed artwork. He's known for such graphic art. I use art in quotations again. They've hidden a lot under the guise of art, but that turned out to be Jeff Koons' artwork. Jeff Koons' artwork is so vulgar and very explicit that you can't even share it. It makes Hustler magazine look like a kid's novel. So let me point out who Jeff Koons is. He's on the board of the International Center of Missing and Exploited Children. And so there's the connection back with him. And he's buddies with Hillary. He shielded for Hillary. And Hillary is on their site as helping open the place. And then you look, and there's Tony Blair's wife. And guess what? And then you look, and Tony Blair in the same exact picture as both of them. Tony Blair has gotten an award in 2014 from Save the Children. When you start digging, you find pictures of Tony Blair standing there with Jimmy Savile. And then you also find out that the same prime minister, had issues with his group for pedophilia too. Not, I don't know exactly who the connection was there, but there's been articles written about this. Why is the Save the Children program that just, put Jill Biden on the board? Why are they giving an international global award for children to Tony Blair? Okay, so what I'm saying is there's a lot of sketchy connections. They're all connected, and they all have these Hillary ties. And not all I've ever done was just point out the suspicions. That's all I've ever done. I've just pointed out suspicions. That should not cause people in giant companies like National Center for Missing Children to block my account, to go in and block my account, because you have to do it one at a time.
Right.
I just think that's strange.
Yeah, I think they're blocking your account because they don't want you to tag them in any of your...
And I don't, though.
You mentioned Tony Blair. Recent news, folks, if you didn't see it, Google this, as long as Google will still allow it. Sir Edward Heath, who died in 2005, named by his victims now who are adults as being involved in heading a satanic child sacrifice ring, where as many as 16 children were murdered. And now these children that are now adults saying this about him are saying that their parents, their satanic parents, were also involved in this satanic ring.
Who do you think those people were? Those were not just ordinary people there. If I told you their names, I'm not going to tell you their names, but if I did, I don't think you'd sleep so well.
So, where there's smoke, there's fire, and that's all Angela's pointing out. Susie, your thoughts?
I just want to kind of add on to what you just said, where there's smoke, there's fire. This whole investigation so far, I mean, at this point, with all that's come up, it takes so much more work to prove that it's a conspiracy theory or that it's fake or totally not happening. It takes so much more work to do that than to prove that it's real and to prove that it's a real problem and we need to do something about it.
LaFonte says he wouldn't have found anything exciting. And here is our bags and coat closet. The bullet went into our computer system.
And Podesta says that, MSM debunked it instantly.
If anything, it's being debunked in the mainstream media.
That's just, we can talk about that in a minute, but that's just complete BS, and he knows it. We all know it. Even the interviewer, the guy who was interviewing him, he knew it. You could just tell he knew it. He knew it was BS.
Yeah, that's right. And I thought it was very powerful that Podesta on a world stage there, right, the first time he's spoken about this, didn't say what anybody would say if they were falsely accused of these atrocities. He didn't say, I would never, ever hurt a child.
Right.
Give me a Bible right now. I will and I'm going to sue everybody who's made these charges against me because I am... He didn't say that. He said, it's already been debunked by the mainstream media.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. Why have I not been emailed, contacted, DM'd, anything? I've received nothing. No one has reached out to me and said, hey, you're spreading false info. Hey, we're going to file a whatever suit against you for spreading. I've got nothing about that video.
Yeah.
So what? And he was silent, and it's so funny because he didn't tweet. He was completely silent, almost like we forgot about him for about 3-4 months, and on social media he's MIA. But once I posted that video, he tweets, and all this stuff happens. He tweets. He has this interview. He changes job. He joins the Washington Compost. So all this stuff has been going on right in this little time span of a week, a little over a week.
Yeah.
You should point out, here's the thing that made because I was also, Susie knows this, we were private messaging each other. But Susie, before she put that video on blast, where she kind of downloaded it for a tweet, what people don't realize is it started circulating with an account, and that account got suspended instantly. And I remember saying in our group message, I was like, wow, well, that's actually the pushback. The instant pushback is usually an indicator that you're onto something, you know? Right. And then Susie was just private messaging someone to do a voice, what's it called again? To check the voice, an expert on the sound. And I remember that she was like, wow, his account just got suspended. So they were actually, reading her private messages.
They banned him.
Yeah,
they were reading
people aren't getting this. Yeah. And John Podesta, if you like I pointed out in our last interview, when you listen to the seance video that's connected to that same place, you can actually hear someone say, I'm John Pod, and they stop. And so that is probably a good reason why that person's account got deleted right away. But now it's out there. And like yesterday, I just want to also point out that Honeybee, I think her handle's at Honeybee, she discovered that there was a Podesta working with the National Center for Missing Children. And, we just simply pointed that out. And then I pointed out another couple of people on their board that were sketchy. And then I'm assuming that's why they've blocked me. But the pushback they do to these things, I've said it so many times, and you guys are correct in everything you said a few seconds ago. But I've said so many things. I've said lies are so easy to debunk because all you have to do is just come out and show the alternative, what the codes actually would have meant. Just tell us. You can show, oh, well, here's what really is happening. We're just weirdos, but we're not, a child molester. No, but it takes censorship to cover truth. You have to censor. So why are we getting censored so bad if they have an alternative answer to any of this? They don't. That's why they're doing it, because the truth is out there.
What I would say about Podesta is that him being hired by Bezos blog, right? So Jeff Bezos bought up Washington Post, again, Mockingbird, mainstream media. This guy, this billionaire, can just buy up an entire, newspaper. And by the way, Amazon has contracts with the CIA. So I think the problem with this is that it's just a great example of fascism, and it's the oligarchy, it's the fascist oligarchy circling the wagons and giving Podesta not only a platform, but to pay him, because he's essentially out of a job now, right? So I think it's funny how they circle the wagons, and they would give the least desirable person on earth a job at the Washington Post.
Exactly, and that's another thing is with the Rothschild tweeting him what she tweeted him, it's very confusing. It's almost like you're just sitting there trying to think of all these theories, like what's going on? Is this a double bluff? Is it a front? Is it just smoke and mirrors? Why are they doing that? Why is he working with the Washington Combos? Why is she tweeting that to him? All I can say right now is something is going to happen, and something big is going to happen. There's going to be major arrests. I mean, there already has been, but there's going to be something that I think we are going to truly be shocked by, because all of this going on this past week is it's so insane that I can't even, it hasn't even hit me yet. Haven't adjusted to everything going on.
Yeah.
So if the Rothschild is saying that to him, it's either he's definitely going down, because also I noticed that his very first tweet after he didn't tweet in months, and he's been totally MIA on social media, but his first tweet back was like something about, by the way, I never said anything bad about Hillary in those emails. It was just the Russians or whatever. I don't know. But I noticed that. So is it maybe, Hillary and Rothschild versus Podesta? Is it, like I said, is it a double bluff just to, have some smoke and mirrors? I don't know.
You make a good point, actually, because we know from the WikiLeaks emails that there was an extremely cozy, if not completely inappropriately cozy relationship between Linda Rothschild and Hillary Clinton, besties. And actually, if you look at the nature of those emails, it was really Hillary kowtowing in language to Lady Rothschild. So you make a great point. It's the Hillary Clinton-Lady Rothschild connection that is certainly the tighter relationship. And if they both feel, and I'm sure Hillary Clinton loathes John Podesta, because again, it's the WikiLeaks Podesta emails that really led to all of this. It really led to the downfall of Hillary. So who's at fault for that? Podesta, because he willingly got duped by some hackers, and he gave up his password. And that's what caused all of this to happen.
And his password was password, and he's still blaming the Russians, So it's really funny.
Yeah.
Also, I noticed in that interview that he did, how he was with his hands, the self-soothing method with his hands when he was talking about Pizzagate and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And trying to basically defend himself using the MSM as a, whatever. And he was just like trying to calm himself down. I looked into like hand gestures and body language and stuff like that. They call it it's like the pacifier or the self-soothing pacifier. I don't know, but it's like a pacifier thing, and it's like when you're trying to calm yourself down or you're scared of something,
Mm-hmm.
You feel like you're being attacked or you don't really know how to, react, and you're just so, so I noticed that. So I'm wondering, is he gonna get suicided soon? I don't know. I think something's gonna happen to him. I think that he is gonna get, killed. I think something's gonna happen. all I can say, like I said, all I can say is that I feel it. I feel something big is going to happen, and we're going to be shocked by it.
Yeah, and we're not advocating anything like that, but I think you make an interesting point because I interviewed.
No, I'm not
Right.
advocating for that. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying,
but I interviewed Cliff Hive, the Webbot creator, and he says that the data, the language is indicating the death of a prominent figure among what he says are the abusers. So he says the data is showing the death in the spring or summer of a prominent abuser. So, I mean, who knows what that means? So when I hear abuser, of course, I think Pizzagate.
right? Really? Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, let me just say this too. Praise God that Trump has come out now just in the past week and said he's going to turn the full force of the federal government against child traffickers in an attempt to bring them to justice. And I pray to God that includes these Pizzagate people and, the DC-centric Pizzagate ring, because as I've been saying on Twitter, Pizzagate is the key to Pedogate, which is the global child trafficking ring. And so getting back to Podesta, I just want to share this with you guys. You guys recall that video that showed what Google had labeled or pinned as being the Podesta Pizza Mansion? You recall that?
Yes.
I do.
Okay, so there is a very effective YouTube channel I just discovered. I want to give this guy credit. His name's James Munder. James Munder went on Google Earth, and then he went down to a street view. And he got as close to the coordinates as he could, and I'll show this right here in this clip. He got to a sign that said Camp Cazadero. And here's the part that's a little bit shocking. Cazadero is a Spanish word meaning a place of the pursuit of game.
Wow.
A place of the pursuit of game, which reminds me of Hunter S. Thompson's appearance in 1988 on the David Letterman show, in which he said this.
You ever hike up into the mountains?
Oh yeah, I do that I like to kill.
And when you say kill, you're talking about what, neighbors? What?
We don't want to talk about shooting people, do we?
No, but you're teasing when you say you like to kill, right?
Yeah. No, I'm not teasing. No, I used to like to kill. When I realized that I was hunting
You're
in
a
order
big
to
hunter?
kill,
You like
I
hunting?
quit. Well, I did. I quit.
Yeah. But I know that when you
But
kill...
I quit because I realized I was not hunting for meat. I was hunting because I like to kill.
Yeah. Have you talked to anyone about this stuff?
Again, where there's smoke, there's fire, and this stuff is just as dark and Luciferian, and, I mean, this is pits of hell type of stuff that we're talking about here.
Can I add to the hunting party you were talking about?
Yeah.
There's a lot of survivors of the satanic ritual abuse. There's a lot of survivors that actually describe hunting parties.
Yeah, Kathy O'Brien comes to mind.
Yes, Kathy O'Brien, and then there's also Fiona Barnett, and there's other ones. My friend Becky on Twitter as well, she was a survivor of this. She didn't know probably the specific names for it at the time, but that's what it was. They were, they take kids out in the woods, and Bohemian Grove, it's actually already been exposed several times that that's what happens at Bohemian Grove. And remember that these are our politicians that are running so many things that go to these things. These are the elite. You can look at lists that have been leaked out at who is at Bohemian Grove. And when you hear these survivors were making these claims, before internet, okay? They were saying it before Alex Jones ever exposed what was at Bohemian Grove.
Right.
That's right.
And so we already know that they have these secret societies to do this stuff, and that they hunt little children and rape them and sometimes murder them for fun.
Yeah.
So people need to understand that none of this is new information.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if you guys knew about this. I think you probably do, but the former head of FBI, Ted Gunderson, I mean, he came out way before. I mean, this is years ago, and he came out and he basically did this whole presentation, this whole speech, basically about how orphanages, CPS, people who kind of are on the ground doing all that, the dirty work, basically, are kidnapping children and bringing them to the White House. He actually said that.
Yep.
And this is this is years ago. And then right after that, he dies.
Yeah, you're right. Now listen to this. You're absolutely over the target, again, dropping truth bombs. Now, Ted Gunderson, I'll play a clip right here, talks about the fact that all of those, I think there's 80 kids in the Franklin cover-up, 78 of whom recanted their testimony because the FBI came to those kids and their families and said, if you do not, you will go to prison for perjury.
And what happened when all of this came to light? The FBI stepped in and cross-examined every one of the children and told them if they did not recant their testimony, they would be liable to as much as 530 years in prison for perjury. They were grilled for hour on hour. The ones who didn't recant ended up either dead or in jail.
78 of the 80 recanted, 2 of them didn't. One of them is Paul Bonacci, who went to prison and has always talked and really been the source of many of the accusations against Hunter S. Thompson, saying that they stopped in Vegas at one point before going to one of these places that he thinks probably was Bohemian Grove, and they picked up a guy named Hunter Thompson, who directed the snuff film in which Paul Bonacci and 2 other boys were made to chase a small boy, and the small boy was then murdered on camera. So this stuff is all coming full circle, and truth cannot be squashed. These vampires, and they truly are people from vampiric bloodlines, some of them going all the way back to Vlad the Impaler, right, the royals. There's a miracle happening here that this type of truth is finally getting out. But the powers that be are going to try to stop this any way they can. But I don't think they can. I think the genie's out of the bottle.
It is. And to add to the Ted Gunderson, look at, is that Netflix documentary, is it called Who Took Johnny Ghosh? Is that what it's called? There's, you can watch that. That's just a little piece. That's what happened to one child. That's his one story on there. That's a piece of Pedogate. That's a piece of it. And you look at the Franklin scandal. That is also directly connected to that. What happened in that situation is the exact same thing. But there's a lot of these stories. And all along, it's a network. And it's ran by the very top of society. And basically, all along, we've gotten to see little things be exposed, but every time they just acted like it was bizarre. But look at the finders.
Yep.
What's continuing today is just the finders extended. It's still happening. It never got squashed. And the finders was the exact same thing. It got exposed. Everything we're saying is happening today, and yet that was exposed years back. And yet, how are we so crazy that we're exposing the very same thing that was proven years ago? Prove it. Why are we crazy because we're just exposing it now? Because what's happening is the Clinton Foundation is helping to unravel the global network. Because all along, the Jerry Sandusky, even the Catholic priest scandals, a lot of these things were all part of a network. It wasn't just a one thing like they wanted you to think. It was actually a network. And like she said, Nancy Schaefer was exposing CPS. She was a 2-time Georgia senator. She was exposing, I think she was the wife of an FBI agent possibly. But anyway, she was exposing CPS years and years ago, and it's coming out now that that is what they've done. So what they've done is they've hidden in these organizations in front that appear on the outside to help children, and yet what it's doing is giving them access and cover to actually harm children, unfortunately. I mean, it's so sick, but this stuff has been being exposed by whistleblowers for years, and people who have the right resume to expose this kind of stuff. It's not like they're just, Pizzagate Angela on Twitter, I'm just teasing. But you know what I'm saying? And so this stuff has been exposed by some legit sources. Why are we now just pointing it out and being called conspiracy theorists? It's not even a conspiracy anymore. It's just truth.
It's
and,
because
it's sad that people don't get it.
It's because that's all they have, Angela. They only have ad hominems. They only have character assassination. They don't have truth on their side. Because anybody that digs into this evidence runs so deep, the historical evidence, on the record evidence, runs so deep that what we're talking about cannot be discounted. So what they need to do and what they are doing is they are engaging in character assassination. They're engaging in censorship. They're engaging in mainstream media collusion in the cover-up of the truth by just saying, it's all been debunked. So anybody that wants to dig into this, you mentioned the finders. There's a connection to intelligence agencies there, the CIA specifically. So when you say this goes to the top, it's not just the Clinton Foundation. It's the deep state. And at the end of the day, that's what they don't want uncovered. And as you guys know, our elected representatives come and go, but the deep state remains. It's always there. And so for this stuff to be threatening the deep state is a big, big deal. And that's why I keep saying Pizzagate is the key. It's the key to shining the light on the deep state and their nefarious and in many cases satanic activities.
Yep. And also we should point out a couple other things, and I hate to get your video banned just by speaking out a few more pieces of some more truth bombs since we've dropped enough, but let me just point a few more things out, okay? The Clinton Foundation, let's just point out a few things. You can simple Google search, see when they've visited some places, and I found a story that basically it was Bill Clinton with 3 other people. I was able to find instantly 2 of those people that were with Bill Clinton, and we know who Bill Clinton is, that he goes to Jeffrey Epstein's island where they rape children. Frank Justra. He's got a refugee center. He's on the board of Clinton Foundation. His refugee center boasts a pedophile logo, blatant. And when that first dropped, people were being forced out of their account so they deleted it. That shows you there's pushback about that. Then, 2, the other person that was with them was with Unilever. And they are the ones that own Good Humor. And Good Humor, that heart symbol is right off the FBI site for pedophiles as well. And these are the 3 out of 4 of those names that I was able to quickly find were either known pedophiles or known having a front of an organization that actually boasts pedophile logos. So people aren't seeing it. It's a network. It's a network. And it's really gross, but this is why they are covering up right now. It's because the very top of almost every Western society is at risk right now of being exposed. When Trump won, he didn't run against Clinton, okay? He ran against the entire New World Order. He did. And that's why he had pushback from all these globalist-owned media and deep state, like you're talking about, is like Evan McMuffin. You know, all of these people are fighting against him because their entire existence right now is threatened. But that's what's so beautiful about it, because the truth is just keeps on leaking out.
Do you guys, Susie, give me your thoughts on this too. Do you think that Jake Tapper is CIA? Because he's over at CNN, and of course he and everybody at CNN is maligning this. They're ignoring it. In fact, all of these child trafficking arrests that have happened just since Trump took office, I think are more this year, in just this short period of time, more than happened all of last year under Obama. And so there are arrests happening, which is great news. But do you guys find it as weird as I do that Jake Tapper's wife told the Washingtonian a year before any of us knew what Pizzagate was, that their favorite family restaurant was Comet Ping Pong? I mean, what are the chances? How in the world in Washington, D.C., with all the fabulous world-class restaurants, would you come to the conclusion, would you tell, how would that be that she'd say, our favorite family restaurant?
Sean, you didn't hear Sean, it's an upscale pizza parlor.
According to Podesta. But get this, she said she told the Washingtonian their favorite date night destination, without the kids, was Bucks on that same block.
That entire street, all the owners are all, they all fund the Clinton Foundation. They're all close with Clintons, and it's all a mess. That entire block.
Pedophile logos.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my question is, how can we expect Jake Tapper to report the truth about any of this stuff when he's really involved in it to the degree that apparently he likes to dine at Comet Ping Pong? That's troubling.
You know,
I agree.
What's interesting to me is that we just saw him on Twitter going on a rant about, child trafficking is such a horrific issue. We need to whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay, Jake. Every single night on CNN, you read a teleprompter, you read lies, and he's been so against Pizzagate and Pedagate, all these pedophile claims. He's been so against it. He lashed out at Mike Flynn Jr. He was lashing out at him, cussing at him, saying, oh, how can you do this? How could you think that this is happening? This is just a joke. It's not even real. Jake, hello. If there's any sort of allegation or accusation of that, something as dark as this going on, why are you jumping right into, oh, no, that can't be true? But on Twitter, after the whole Milo incident, he's going on and on about, oh, I have a friend who was abused to whatever, and all this just nonsense, and it was so obvious. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I agree. And let me add to what you guys are talking about, because, oh, man, so much gets left out, because there's so much evidence against these people that you literally would have to make, like, 13 podcasts in a row just to, expose it all.
Right.
But Jake Tapper, I agree totally, Sean. I honestly think that that my guess is that it's the Finders, Comet Ping Pong, and all of those businesses. I think it's an extension of the Finders. If I had to guess, I think it's a CIA-run operation, because why else would James Elefantis be the 49th most powerful man in D.C. when there's senators and people like that didn't even make the list? Okay, just an upscale, and it's not even upscale, it's a dirty piece of joint. But, so it is strange, but what should be pointed out, because they constantly say that there's no basement. Well, there is, James Elefantis is on the record of referring to his basement.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that should be pointed out, it has actually been proven that Buck's, his other restaurant, has a basement. So that's actually been proven. People have actually found it and read it online, when they looked up the real estate, and it is. So for a fact, we know that Buck's, James' other restaurant, has a basement, and he's on record for talking about putting tomatoes and stuff and storing them in the basement. So these are the things that need to be pointed out. And yes, I do find it strange that Jake Tapper is doing all that.
I agree with you. I want to say one other thing as it relates to all of those businesses where Comet Ping Pong is. You were talking about the basements. The other thing that would warrant investigation by authorities, should there be any honest authorities to do it, is the fact that it appears that there's a tunnel system. The old DC subways are directly under those establishments or in the nearby vicinity. So there's just so much here that needs to be researched. I completely agree with you. I definitely think there's a connection to the Finders and the CIA. What are your thoughts on what's going on with David Seaman? He deleted all his YouTube videos off of his channel on Saturday, and he deleted his Twitter account, which I think is a huge mistake, on Friday. Your thoughts?
I think it's the same stuff. I appreciate David Seaman's post a lot, because he really speaks the truth. And the stuff he's dropping sometimes, there's no way. I cannot imagine that he's paid opposition like I think the disinfo out there is to try to make people not believe him, because I don't think he would say so many things that he said that I respect and totally agree with. I think this stuff can get to you. I can show you a private message someone sent me like a week ago. A week ago, someone sent me one that told me that Clinton was nothing was going to happen to her, and they put in bold caps letters that I need to stop, trying to make me scared. Well, here's what I have that hopefully David and some others will have, and I think that he's maybe taken some advice from people to delete things, is what I'm kind of hearing, that's what he did. But I think people get rattled by this stuff, because they need to remember, though, that greater is God, greater is Jesus in us than Satan that is in them. So it doesn't really matter what part of the network is against you, because if you have God for you, it doesn't. You could be a homeless person, and you would be more protected and more powerful than David Rockefeller. But that's what I think. I think he just either he had. I don't know if somebody gave him that advice because if it was for safety issues, I'm not sure. I just know that he deleted them out of advice, and so I don't know if he's rattled. I don't know what the story is.
I just wanted to say that he's safe. He's okay. He just wanted to take a break. I just was looking at my text with Brittany Pettibone. Me and her are friends. We talk. And she told him that he's just a little bit stressed out, and he just wanted to take a break from it. As you guys know, BuzzFeed did their hit piece on him. But he's just taking a break. I don't know if he'll be back. Probably will be. He doesn't stop.
Okay.
He's tough.
Yeah, okay. Well, good. We wish him well. We wish Brittany Pettibone well. Reality Calls. Boy, who else? Titus Frost. You guys name some names out there. Who else is doing fantastic researchers? Of course, there's all these unknown people on 4chan and Vote, and but name some people. Who do you want to call out and give some kudos to?
Yeah, there's you said a couple of them. Also, Honeybee is a new one. That's the girl who discovered the Podesta. So I pushed her name in one of my recent tweets. At Honeybee, I believe. And then also the Hagman Report has been exposing this stuff, wonderfully. Yeah. I'm supposed to be on their show tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I'm on the following night.
I'm trying to think. There's a lot of good people. Gosh, my brain is just, fizzling. But I can't remember his handle, but he's always exposing stuff. My friend Thomas Burpane, I think is his name, on Twitter. He does a lot of good stuff, too. There's a lot. There's a guy that with a white deer. Is that the name of it? And he has... I don't know if it's a picture of a goat. I can't remember, but he nonstop exposes connections as well. And then, of course, we have our friend Pizzagate Howie, who goes out and takes signs and makes sure all of Philly. Yeah.
Yeah. He travels. He actually is one of the first people who actually went right outside of Comet Ping Pong and actually straight up talked to Elephantis and questioned him on video. You can find that on YouTube.
Yeah, I sent out the picture that I saw of someone protesting back then. I said, "Who is this man?" I was like, "Please let me know so I can follow him." I was like, yeah, I love him because he's all about spreading awareness. He's all about he's gotten in trouble because he's gone in the middle of like a mass and tried to expose Pizzagate. He goes to things and he spreads the awareness and he screams it, but he cares about these children more than, and other people are so worried about hurt feelings and being polite. Well, look what being polite and hurt feelings and shutting up about God and politics for decades has gotten us. The enemy didn't stop. We just did. And that's why their voice has always been louder, but now no longer. We're a silent majority. We need to be a loud majority, and this is what we need to do. And if you care about children, the least someone could do is demand an investigation. Just demand the investigation, or don't fight against people who are trying to expose corruption that is harming children. I just don't understand that. But I appreciate everyone that's been involved. Susie's done a lot of good stuff recently, too. That's actually why I started following her as well.
Yeah, amen. Susie, can you remind people how they can follow you on Twitter?
Right, my handle is just Suziechka. It's Suziechka.
But what's your handle? You go by Podesta Molesta?
Yeah, my name is Skippy Molesta.
Skippy Molesta, perfect. That sounds just about right to me. And
I have no idea how I haven't been banned. I call Jack Dorsey names all the time. I tag him. I call him names. I make fun of him. I tag everyone that I'm going after. I don't know how I haven't been banned yet, but
and you could be like me and try to be stealth, and you'll still get. They'll do some kind of special. Like I said, it's like they tailored this suspension for me because it's like they're telling me that they're emailing me and they're not. So it's like this automated response. And yet I'm not getting the automated emails. It's just so strange. But I ask everyone to speak up. And Susie, be careful because I don't want your account gone.
Ladies, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules on Sunday to join us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay, thank you. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We very much appreciate your support at sgtreport.com, the home of real news, regardless of the Google lies. We don't distribute fake news. We truly are trying to provide real news, the antidote to corporate propaganda 24/7. If you like this information, please do give it a like and share it within your sphere of influence on social media. Spread it around. Wake up your friends and family. Pizzagate is the key. If the average American woke up to what's going on here, people would be raging and marching in the streets, bringing this to an end. Guys, thanks so much. Have a wonderful week ahead. God bless.
If anything, it's being debunked in the mainstream media. So in those sources of news, it's you don't touch and feel it as much as maybe you'd imagine, but it's sinister, and it's a kind of vile stream that's running under the ground.